Hello to everyone joining us for the Carpal Tunnel program. It's really good to have you with us. And this is, of course, video number 3 in the 4-part series. So, well done if you made it this far. I know there's been a lot of information so far, so thank you for bearing with us. Now, as I said, there have been a couple of videos before this, so if you're just joining us now, I definitely recommend going back and doing the first couple of videos because there's a lot of information in there. It's really helpful, and we are very much following a routine, a program, and you really wouldn't be getting the full benefit unless you go back and do all the videos in order. So, anyway, really quickly, I know you're bored of this. Who I am, I'm a trainee doctor in Nottingham, and I've made it my ambition to bring together world-class information from leading experts to bring to you to help with important issues that are really bothering people. So here we go, video number 3. So today I'm going to be showing you some more amazing exercises and some really great tips and ways to reduce pain and inflammation naturally. And of course we're going to be talking about all important wrist splints, which is a really common question. And exciting bit, foods, the ones to avoid and the ones not to avoid. So first of all, really quickly, I want to talk about the forgotten muscle, the carpal tunnel. That is the thumb. Now, it's so often overlooked, and I don't know why, because it's so important. Now, as you can see here on the right, this is what's called atrophy, where the muscle actually wastes. And there are a few actually muscles in part of the thumb, but we're just going to talk about this big chunky prominence. It's called the thenar eminence, and this is what wastes in people who have carpal tunnel that is untreated for a long time. And of course, the muscle is so important in so many things you do. It's such a shame when if you lose motion and ability in it. And of course, the median nerve, one of its functions is to innervate the thumb. So it plays an important role because, as you can see, it feeds directly into here, the carpal ligament. This is the thing that surgeons cut when they try and treat carpal tunnel using surgery, often very unsuccessfully, as we know. They do it because they think they cut it here and this will create more space. But you were born with this. It serves a purpose, and it's such a shame when it's to see people have it cut unnecessarily. But when this muscle was too tight or not performing, you can see how it would cause problems here. If it's bunching up, it's closing this area here, and of course compressing on the nerve. So let's stretch it out. So here's a couple of really good exercises for it. And the first one's called, what I like to call, a spider doing push-ups on a mirror. You can see why. And it's really good at just stretching out the whole palm area, and particularly the thumb, but also stretching the fingers, which are really important in just opening up the palm. So what you should do is form this shape and hold it for about 5 to 10 seconds. And this is a slightly more dynamic stretch. And then pull them together, trying to keep your thumbs and your fingers straight. And then go back to that and hold that for another 5 to 10 seconds. And you're actually going to repeat this more like 10 times as opposed to some of the other exercises. Now you can of course do this more specifically manually using your other hand, and you can do it by using your thumb as acting like an anchor at the joint, like a pivot point, and then being careful not to put too much pressure on the joint itself, but using the pivot and pulling the thumb directly away at right angle to the palm, and keeping your palm strong here in the back of your hand. And you should feel a really sufficient stretch in here and then across your palm. So definitely a really good one. So really try work this one in combination with your other exercises. Now, tendon gliding exercises are, again, really not used in a clinical setting, which is unfortunate because medical evidence shows that they're very, very effective at not only producing huge significant results in terms of reduction in symptoms, but they also reduce the need for surgery here by 28.2%. 70% of participants surveyed reported good or excellent results. So in using combination with everything else we're going to offer, definitely worth it. So the way we're going to do it is you're going to follow these 5 shapes, A, B, C, D, E. So do it nice and slowly. Try and match the diagram as best you can and take your time. This can be quite frustrating exercise. While it's very, very good at improving your dexterity and is incredibly useful, it can be frustrating to begin with, but you will get better with practice. I absolutely promise you that. So firstly with a flat hand, and then slowly just by bending at the knuckles, tilt over to a flat hand, the L shape, and then you're going to go to a flat fist. What I mean is here, keeping your fingers flat down, and then you go into a hook finger, you slide it up to a hook, so you're just bending your fingers at multiple positions in the phalanxes and the carpal joints, and then you're going to go into a normal fist. And repeat this and do it between 5 and 10 times. Take a break, come back to it. But really do focus on the form. Don't rush it. And it's so important. And the reason is because you're trying to undo what could be a lifetime of bad habits and not moving your tendons and ligaments and muscles in the way they should. What you're doing here is you're actually flexing them in their full range of motion and how they should be to really improve your dexterity, improve your flexibility and the way they work. Simple. So I've got some top tips here for you that are really, really good at reducing inflammation and pain. First one, easy, stay hydrated. I mean, not just for this, but for a million and one reasons. It's so important to drink lots of water. And I mean water, drinking teas and coffees and sodas are not the same. So our bodies are made up of a huge, large proportion of water. And so many of your systems, all of your systems and cells rely on it to an extent. So when you're dehydrated, you really are diminishing your body's capability in everything. But more specifically, when we're talking about the joints and the cartilage and synovial fluid, your cartilage is made up of 60% water. So when you're dehydrated, of course, it's going to be affected. So what I say to people is generally aim for the stars and drink quite a lot. Some people say recommend 2 litres, some people say less or more. I would say go for the more, at least aim for it, 3 to 4 litres a day. And if you get a 2 litre bottle, fill it up and try and tackle that twice a day. Just start from the beginning when you wake up and carry on to when you go to sleep, and you'll find that you quickly go through it. And to begin with, you might find it a bit difficult, but as with anything, practice and getting used to it, and you won't just see benefits in your wrist, you'll see it in everything. All right, so number 2, keep warm. The reason being is because your muscles function so much better when they're warm, and your risk of carpal tunnel is so much greater in the cold environment, and there's numerous studies to show that. Now, the reason is when your muscles are warm, they're more flexible and they're less likely to tear or suffer injury, and they just generally function better. And this is why athletes warm up before they do any intensive exercise. So what it does, it effectively increases blood supply by your vessels dilating, and this in turn increases the oxygenation to your muscles. So how do you keep warm? Well, moving, true, but some of you might be working inside or out, but just try and keep warm. Wear appropriate clothing. Now, I would say wear gloves, but the only downside is that you might not be able to easily use gloves, and that's fine. In fact, most of your body heat is lost through your head, so you could wear a hat. Fingerless gloves, or if you need as well, so you can still use your fingertips for the specific movements, but you're keeping most of your hands warm. And also because nerves actually function better when they're warm, so it really is important. So number 3, just beware of restrictive clothing. And the idea in carpal tunnel is that it is compressed, it is tight squeezed in there, so you don't want to make anything worse. So any watches or bracelets that you think could be limiting blood supply and the nerve signals, cut it loose for now at least, or change hands. But I would say just be aware of it and give yourself a break from it. And of course, when you're wearing these compressing items, then it does also affect your joint's natural range of motion. For example, if you wear a watch, it normally inhibits your ability to be able to fully extend and move your wrist in the normal motion it should do. So for a couple of reasons, I would definitely say try and get rid of any restrictive clothing or items or accessories. So here is an amazing technique for reducing pain and inflammation, and it's called contrast hydrotherapy. Basically what it is alternating your hands or the affected area between hot and cold water. Now the reason we do this is because it is a way of massaging the tissue and stimulating the tissues without actually having to use physical manipulation and force. So in a way it is like massaging it, and the way it does is because just like when you get into a hot, nice warm bath, your muscles are able to relax. It does this by, again, opening up the blood vessels, helping with circulation. And then when you go to cold, again, it's testing your body's ability to adapt and perform these metabolic gymnastics. And best of all, it's free, it's easy, and it's quick. But this is really great. Of course, athletes use when they have injuries or joint injuries, they use ice tubs because it reduces the inflammation and the pain as well. So using this combination back and forth really does help. So here's a general plan that I suggest. You'll find what works best for you. But generally you're going to be doing the hotter ones for slightly longer. So begin with the warm, and you want to do comfortably hot. Then go for a minute of cooling. Then back to hot, and you want to try and increase it every time you go if you can. Now bear in mind, we're not trying to create injury, so please do not burn yourself, know your limits, but just try and progress it slightly more. And then of course we go back to cooling, another minute, and then back to heating. And this time again, try and go as hot as you can handle without burning yourself. And finish off on cooling. And it's important to finish off on cooling so that you're not have lingering heat on your muscles and causing perhaps any more inflammation. Although I would say anyone with sort of rheumatoid arthritis, don't finish on the cold, finish on a warm. So as recommended by Dr. Ben, a terrific way in finishing this exercise, this routine, is to actually apply castor oil, as he swears that it in fact helps to reduce the pain and swelling. So wrist splints, I know I get this a lot, and I see a lot of people wearing them. Now, the logic behind wrist splints in this condition, as with many, is there to try and help stabilize your wrist structure and protect it from further damage, which does make sense, and I completely support that to an extent. The idea is there to brace your hands, your arm, so it's relieving your muscles a bit, which again I can completely relate with and understand and support. The trouble is when it is used inappropriately, it can have negative effects, because what the splint can actually do is stabilize your wrist so it does less work and gets less circulation, and you might even be further promoting the bad habits that you've done to get yourself there in the first place. Again, this is just more masquerading the problem. And when you're suffering from less pain, you tend to just do the same exercises, the same routine, the same movements that have caused you pain, and you can do them for longer now, and you're just further entrenching the bad habits and causing yourself even more damage and more pain in the long run. So the thing to remember is this, is you can wear it, but the best time to wear it is at night. Wear it at night when you have no conscious control of the movement of your hands, and this way it can keep the structure of your wrist nice and open, let your median nerve breathe, so that you're not waking yourself up in the night as much with pain. But you need to be aware of during the day, you can wear it at times, but you want to be focusing on the problem. And so it has been considered that if you're not fixed it in 2 weeks and if you're still wearing a splint, then you're doing something wrong. And this is the sad thing, because you often see people wearing them for almost a lifetime. And it says here, if you're still in pain and needing a splint after 2 weeks, you aren't using the right tools to fix your problem. This is from Joshua Tucker, tendonitis expert. Wrist splints and night splints have become something people depend on just to keep them going, barely. And it's a shame, because they have never been told about methods that are actually effective at reversing their carpal tunnel dynamic and getting them pain-free again. So, here we go, onto some foods. And I'm a bit of a foodie, and unfortunately most of these are really nice, so but they do also increase inflammation. So it is all the good foods, but sugar, this is almost number one huge cause of inflammation. Most of the foods I'll be talking about here, as advised by Harvard Health, as being hugely inflammatory for reasons that they increase what are called inflammatory markers in your blood. Inflammation is a natural process by your body, but when it's triggered unnaturally, it can have negative effects. So this increases levels of cytokines and really weakens your immune system. So it's bad for a number of reasons, but it has what's called a high glycemic index, which means it gives you a quick rush, but it's no good. If you want energy through the day, you want what's called a low glycemic index, provided by things like whole grain things. So fried foods, again, love them, but you gotta hate them, because they are so bad for the trans fats and the saturated fats. They increase what are called advanced glycation end products, and the overall effect is not only for 1,000,001 different unhealthy reasons, but they do increase inflammation. Synthetic sweeteners, now these are the worst. I would suggest, if you're going to have anything, then sugar over these, because these are so bad. They're very unnatural. They increase the bad gut bacteria and your glucose intolerance, and overall just increase levels of cytokines. Now dairy has been shown on small levels thought to actually help with inflammation, but it can also have the negative effect. A lot of people in the world are actually intolerant or allergic to dairy. course, as we know, lactose intolerance. But yeah, the huge amount of fats in them does tend to increase inflammation. So I hope you're jotting these down and clearing the fridge appropriately. Next, gluten. We all hear the rage about gluten, how bad it is. And yeah, no smoke without fire. Unfortunately, it's found in a lot of things and it is hard to avoid, but it does have effect, especially on some people more than others. Things like celiac disease is ever so increasingly problem, is an intolerance to gluten. And it's because you don't properly digest it. And it's found in, breads and things that are cooked very quickly and where the gluten, it has high concentration of gluten. We don't have the ability to properly digest it, and the result is we inflame up. So refined flour, the reason is because during this refined process, they're stripped of their digestive fibers that enable us to digest them properly. As fiber assists in digesting, and so it increases something called the PAI-1 inflammatory marker, and has a lot of bad effects, but especially inflammation. Now, processed meats, they're not the real meats. These are horrible, horrible meats that are barely even classified as meats. They're very artificial and just not good for you for a number of reasons. So I would say stay clear of these. Now, artificial additives, simply for the reason that things that are artificial. They are synthetic. These aren't real food products, and your body reacts to them because it doesn't know how to digest them. I like to live by a certain rule as best I can, although not always, and it's if it was made by a plant, eat it. If it was made in a plant, as in a factory, don't eat it. And basically these have the effect of triggering your inflammatory cascade and just causing you a lot of problems. Now, onto the good ones. Now, food is such an important thing in medicine and in health, and it's been noted for this for thousands of years. One of the first, Hippocrates, one of the earliest and most greatest physicians, knew the power of nutrition, and he said, "Let food be thy medicine, medicine be thy food." And it is so, so true. So here's onto some stuff that I really would encourage you to eat, and are fantastic for a number of reasons. Again, recommended to us by Harvard Health. So tomatoes. Tomatoes are really, really, really good. Again, for a number of reasons, but they reduce inflammation. Olive oil. Now, oils as a whole are not necessarily good for you, but olive oil does fit into a category of oils that are. Best ones to avoid are ones with omega-6, but ones with omega-3 are good for you. Obviously, your trans fats and these oils, your saturated, are not good. But olive oil, yeah, thumbs up for that one. Dark leafy vegetables, those cruciferous greens, they are beautiful and lovely, and try and eat as much of them as you can. They have so much nutrients packed into them, and they really help your body in your immune system and reducing your inflammation. Nuts, gotta love them. Yeah, really good. Great snack to just be able to eat throughout the day. Loads of healthy fats and oils in there, and help reduce inflammation. And fatty fish, as one of the animal products I would recommend, at least, because whilst a lot of them cause inflammation, fatty fish, again for the reasons of omega-6 oils, are really, really good for you. And fruits, for inflammation, particularly blueberries, strawberries, these are fantastic. But yeah, fill your fruit bowl with loads of different ones. Try juicing and drinking smoothies. Make this part of your regular diet, and you will start to see the effects, not just in your wrist, but many other beautiful benefits. So vitamin B, because you should. So this is a huge theory in carpal tunnel syndrome, and one that's propagated by a lot of people. There's long been suspected a link between carpal tunnel syndrome and vitamin B, and Dr. Wright has talked about it in one of his books, and he said that this case illustrates well only one of the myriad health problems traceable to food processing and refining, and he's talking about those foods that are suggested to try and drop from your diet. Innumerable studies have showed that more than half of the B vitamins, as well as large proportions of trace minerals, are removed by refining whole grains into white flour. In this case, the lack of vitamin B6 almost led to surgery. And he's talking about a case of carpal tunnel syndrome that was able to avoid using dosage of vitamin B. So here, WebMD even suggests the trio of B6, folate, which B9, and B12 can lower your levels of homocysteine and C-reactive protein, which are markers of inflammation. So I definitely suggest that. Go and do some research and make it part of your supplements, but it's always better when you can find it actually within the foods itself rather than supplements. So thank you so much for joining us for video 3. I hope you really did like it and take a lot of information. Feel free to rewind and watch it back again as many times as you need, and leave any comments and questions you might have. I'm happy to try and answer any I can. But seriously, thank you and well done for everyone who's made it this far. I really hope you can implement all the information and the exercises in these videos to really help you with your carpal tunnel syndrome, as I know they can and will. By implementing these changes, you can really make a difference in your life, and I hope you will. So I look forward to seeing you in the next part of the next video, so do look out for that. And I'm also going to have a really special opportunity for some people. Although spaces are limited, there's a really great opportunity to make the most of this program. Alright, I'll see you soon, and please do just leave any comments or any questions you have below. I'll do my best to answer, and do talk with one another, as that's such an important thing. But stay healthy and positive, and I'll see you soon. Thank you.